Hey guys, it's me, Julian Greystoke. Today I am wearing my Scar shirt and my Fenrirel necklace because I'm here to be no fun and ruin everything. A few of you guys have actually mentioned that you like my videos better when I'm complaining about stuff. And I was like, you're just feeding my evil, you understand that, right? Because I will gladly complain about stuff. So you've done this to yourselves, here we go. I've been reading a lot of fantasy lately, and a lot of it has been disappointing me. Plus, earlier today, I watched a video on YouTube that was kind of talking about how not to write a fantasy story. And all of that combining got me thinking about tropes that I hate in fantasy stories. Now, let me just preface this. If you are writing a fantasy story and you are using any of these tropes, that doesn't necessarily mean that your story is going to be bad. Tropes are tropes for a reason, and everybody has favorite tropes and tropes they don't like. This just happens to be my list of tropes that I personally do not like to see included in fantasy, and also tropes that I hope to avoid in my own fantasy writing. Okay? Okay. Can't you stop eating a piece of paper? This cat is really weird. Stop that. Stop that. Let's get started. In no particular order, just the order that I wrote them down in. My least favorite fantasy tropes. The very first on my list, elves. White bread, toasted, tree hugging. I am so sick of elves. Most elves that you see in fantasy nowadays are somewhere based on Tolkien elves, and the offshoot that occurred from that, including things like the Drow, the Dark Elves, and like these other nature-loving hippie elves or whatever. You even see it in games, which I love, like Dragon Age Origins, wherein I refuse to play Dalish Elf because they are so cliched and I hate them. Basically, I'm tired of it. It is so overdone. Pretty much every fantasy story I read has an elf or elf equivalent. People, be more creative with your races. Which brings me to my second gripe, which is half-elves. For basically the same reason as the other elves. It's not very original, it's overdone. See above, only moodier. The half-elf has all the annoyance of the elf trope while also being its own trope because they get to be broody, because they don't fit in any one world, but they still get to have a lot of the special powers of the elves, whichever two elves fucked to create them, or the elf-human thing. My next one that I am tired of seeing is Chosen One. A lot of fantasy books use this. There's some prophecy somewhere that says this little farm boy is actually Jesus, and I'm really not into it. I was never really into the Chosen One narrative, so naturally as time has gone on I have grown even more sick of the Chosen One, and anytime it crops up in a book it loses a few points. Just a few. My next one is all-powerful magic. This is, again, personal preference, just like all of these. My tastes in magic run far more towards not only the practical magic, but the limited magic. I tend to not like worlds where magic can do just about anything, where it's super powerful and the people who wield it are super powerful. I prefer magic to have consequences, I prefer magic to have rules, and I like my magic to be kind of original, which also plays into this a little bit. If you want to know my tips for writing magic, at least the kind that I like, links in the doobly-doo to a video about that. Here's a big one that I was griping about just today on Facebook. Women in fantasy stories being relegated to being magic users, healers, or the only weapon that they are capable of using is a bow. I'm so sick of it. Especially the bow one. If you are legit writing a female character in a fantasy story, you better have a fucking good reason why she's a master with a bow and nothing else. Why she never picked up a sword, why she never tried a polearm. Otherwise, you and me were gonna have problems. The next one on my list is dead mentors. Every time you find a mentor character in a book, he's fucking gonna die, and you know it's coming, and it's so annoying. You know what? I want some mentor characters to live every now and then. I know it's a metaphor for growing up, but in real life, you can continue to grow and learn from a mentor through your entire life. Here's a trope that often begins a lot of fantasy stories. The bad guys are in the world, they're doing evil, but what really motivates our main character to do something about it? The bad guys, for some reason, come and destroy his quaint little hamlet, and that motivates him to go out and get rid of the bad guy. Also, usually to find out that he's a chosen one. Like, dude, the villain is out there in the world already. He destroyed the hamlet next door, but fuck those guys. It's when your hamlet gets destroyed and your parents get killed that you finally decide, maybe I should do something about that. I know it's a useful, inciting incident to force the character to leave their cozy home and get out there into the world adventuring, but boy, is it used. It's used. Here's one that always drives me crazy and gives me a good laugh when I read. Everyone is instantly awesome at horse riding, and horses are basically cars. They never eat or poop or misbehave. Yeah, no, that's not how horses are. Ask anybody who's around horses. Horses can be little shits sometimes. Even the best trained horse is gonna be a little shit sometimes. They have really big personalities and also they're really big creatures. And you especially 100% cannot just get on a horse having never ridden one before and go galloping off, forming this magical bond with the horse as you go. No, that horse takes off and you are there on your ass on the ground where it left you. Also, everybody rides stallions, which is also not a good. Don't worry guys, it's getting warmer outside, and as soon as it's warm and pleasant and not too terrible to film out there, I will be heading up to where my horses are so we can talk to you all about horse misconceptions and a lot of the horse tropes that people use when they write books and how wrong those are. My next one is orcs, or orcs lookalikes, because you gotta have a generic baddie, so why not an orc? Sometimes people don't even get terribly creative with the name. Yeah, people sometimes it's a very, very, very thin veil. It's clearly an orc. And the last gripe that I thought of for my list is names with 20 Y's in them and 50 apostrophes that need a guide to pronounce and that take us out of the story every time. Please, for the love of all things holy, just give your character a name. I know it's really tempting, especially if you're writing one of those damn elves, to give them a stupid long name with apostrophes and tons of Y's in it because it'll make it look all magical and mystical, but please don't. Because every time we, the reader, encounter that fucking name, we're gonna be taken out of the story because we have no idea how to pronounce it. Now, if you really must give your character a long-ass name with all of those things, give them a shorter version that's like a real name, like Annie or something, that we can pronounce and call them that most of the book. Okay, there you go. I hope you had a good time enjoying listening to me gripe. Like I said, these are all just my opinion and my personal taste. If you love any of these tropes, that's fine. There are plenty of tropes that I love that other people hate. Remember, everyone, that I post new videos Mondays and Fridays. All the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo, awaiting your clicking. And thanks in advance for not writing a really nasty comment below. We'll see how that goes. Speaking of which, guys, did I tell you in a previous video that I got my first "you should kill yourself" a comment here on YouTube, which was very exciting to me. I feel like I have finally arrived. Most people who ride horses don't feel like they're a true horseman until they've fallen off, because that's how you know you're really challenging yourself as a rider. You've come off the horse. And I feel like you're not a real YouTuber until you've been told to go kill yourself by a stranger on the internet. So, thank you, angry stranger whose comment I deleted. You were my first, I will never forget you. Except for I forgot your name. And I deleted your comment. Anyway, I will see you guys next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!